terms of the economy, million dollars have been wiped out along with a port. The port and the surrounding area has been totally wiped out. I don't want to hold you more. The speakers are waiting for the opportunity. Once again, I welcome and hand over the seminar to our chapter president, chapter chairman, Sorab.
Thanks, Santa. I'm not sure whether it is my audio which was not receiving you at all. Can somebody just double check whether it's just my audio or was Captain Santa very clear?
Captain Shanta was not clear. It was coming a little cut and going.
So
very clear, Captain Shanta.
Okay, then Captain Shanta, actually, there's some audio problem from your side because every second word was getting cut off, so I really didn't know when I could come in or what you were referring to. So on your behalf, maybe I can just introduce our guest today. Once again, Captain Peter Machado, who is actually a well-known name here in Dubai, served his career at sea. He commenced his sea career in '73, as Santa was saying, on Rajendra. And in fact, he was awarded the President's Gold Medal. That's quite an achievement. And Peter came ashore, and his shore-based career is spanning, almost 47 years. And it includes 26 years with international militaries in various senior capacities. He was fleet manager, technical manager, group general manager, COO, CEO, name it, and he was there. Managing director, base operating services, full line subsistence, and MRO services. He has extensive experience in procurement and total supply chain, both commercial and military, as well as digitization, automation, integration, machine learning, robotics, catalogs, processing, and systems. So you can see he's got a long history in this line. He is currently the managing director of PM3 and the co-founder of eGini Forum. Pro bono services of his includes FNI, FICS. He is the Middle East branch president, member of the Controlling Council and Executive Council, 19 years on the IMPA General Council, and he also sponsors a school, and he's involved with several vocational guidance and educational institutions. So that's saying quite a lot for Captain Peter Machado, and we warmly welcome you, sir, to today's seminar.
Thank you, Captain Sorab, and thank you, Captain Shanta, for the initiative. It's always a delight to be invited for an event by an organization that gives back to the industry, that shares with the industry. Today's topic is such, it's appropriate after the incident in Lebanon, which hurt a lot of people and will need special thinking to find solutions. Add to this the current situation with finance and the loss of jobs, not just caused by COVID-19, but a lot more than that. We have a situation where those of us who are in a position to help will be called out to do even better things. At this time, just thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here. Over.
Thank you very much, Captain Peter. It was nice hearing from you as well. And of course, we have to thank our other speakers today, Mr. Virendra Madyar, who's come in especially to give a learned talk on the subject, and the evergreen Capt Zarir Irani, who's always been very, very cooperative, helpful, and always a lending hand if you ever need one. Constellation Marine, forefront of all of this all. So let's give it back to Captain Srikanth to continue with matters at hand. Thank you, gentlemen. Captain Srikanth.
Thank you. As I welcome the guest and Captain Zarir for the presentation, can I request the Professor Virendra to take it first to let us know about the chemistry behind the cargo, and so we understand about the dynamics of it. while when you finish it, then we take along to Capt Zarir on our transportation and other activities that take place. So I request you to first take over the presentation and let us know about the cargo, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Srikanth. Let me thank Captain Shanta Kumar for giving me this opportunity and CMMI for inviting me for this webinar on a very important topic, ammonium nitrate, how it needs to be stored, how it needs to be carried out, and create an awareness in this industry as well as in other industries also. So it's a very important topic, and I would talk on this, how from the chemistry point of view, how, why, and how we can mitigate such kind of risk later, so that there is no human loss, and we all benefit from these learning sessions. Now I would share my screen. May I know if my voice is audible? Or yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Are you able to share?
Yeah, that is what actually I was just trying to share, but that option I have lost that option. It's not coming out.
Are you getting it now?
1 second. Yeah, 1 second. Let me check. Can share my screen.
Yeah, getting it.
Yeah. So this screen is visible. Is it coming out?
Yes, we are able to see it.
Thank you. Thank you. So the topic is ammonium nitrate carriage and storing, a mariner risk mitigation view. So that is what we will be talking about, how to mitigate such problems, how to avoid the risk. We are all aware about this incident which happened in Beirut on 4th August. This tragic incident wherein there were loss of around 220 people and more, and around 5,000 people got injured. This was very unfortunate incidents. After Shanta gave me this topic to talk about, I did certain research. What could have gone wrong? What would be the reason behind such kind of incidents, and how we can avoid this devastating mayhem which had happened on 4th August. While reading, I got that this is not the first incident which has happened because of ammonium nitrate. There are a couple of incidents which has been tracked and reported earlier. One was in the US in Texas City in 1947. Similarly, there was recent around 5-6 years back, this similar kind of explosion happened in the port in China, wherein again similar kind of people lost, around 75 to 100 people lost their lives. And this has been happening. And what is the learning about here? Why these incidents are happening? How we can avoid this incident? So I did further research. What is ammonium nitrate? What is the reason why it exploded or why it detonated? And then there was a lot of literature available on the Google search. And if we go through it, there's a very good reviews people have written what could be the reason for this kind of incidences. So I have captured those incidences and put it over here so that we can discuss it in this call. So coming to the next slide, chemistry of ammonium nitrate. Ammonium nitrate is a chemical, and as we see, it is denoted by a CAS number or chemical abstract number 648452-2. So this number is very important from chemistry point of view. So whenever we are carrying this material or storing this material, usually when we give this material to shippers, they would have a lot of documents, and one of the important document is MSDS, or Material Safety Data Sheet, which is called MSDS, or safety data sheet. So in this, there will be this number, and this number is like a fingerprint. It will tell you all the history about this product or this molecule or this chemical. If it is hazardous, it is what is the kind of storage capacity, or if there are any problems with this material. Now, ammonium nitrate is manufactured using simple nitric acid and ammonia, and this is a very big product which is used immensely in fertilizers. So it is a kind of a replacement to urea, or a urea ammonium nitrate mixtures are available in the in India and other places. So this 80% of ammonium nitrate which is manufactured in the world is used for fertilizers. Other than that, it is also used in propellants, in solid rocket propellant. So you know why it's kind of a fuel. That means it's used in propellant. It is also used in race car engines. So if you are playing video games, or you must have seen video games, there is a nitrate button. So as soon as you push the nitrate button, the car moves faster. So what it is, so it's a material which moves fast. It has a lot of energy into it, and that is why it is used in nitrate in the racing cars. They are used in rocket propellant. So this is how the ammonium nitrate is. Though it is very useful from the agriculture point of view, it provides nitrogen, it provides ammonia. This is also a very risky material to store, and we should be very careful. And it has happened historically. It has happened that there are many incidences, but many few a time we gather, we do a kind of team meetings, learning sessions, but later on it is forgotten. So how we can implement this measure, so that we do not see such incidences in future. Now let me tell you about the ammonium nitrate more in details. These are the properties, chemical properties, the molecular weight 80, heat of combustion. But one of the important thing I would like to point out is oxygen content. So this product, it is having large quantity of oxygen. So oxygen is coming from this NO3O, that is, the oxygen is very high in this product. Again, I have also given certain modes of thermal decomposition. So what had happened that day was, based on the research what I have done, perhaps this material was stored for a long time, for 5-6 years in the warehouse, and perhaps it was available when it was fresh. It was available in the form of granules or prills. This was a shipment they had received from Russia for fertilizer, for using in fertilizer, but somehow it was impounded and it was stored in the warehouse. And with the time, perhaps the prills or the crystals may have compressed or decomposed, and instead of the free flowing prills, they would have compacted. So there is a compaction happening there. There is also a sea port. So I would guess there is a moisture in the environment, which could have also helped in compacting the material. And I don't know how it was stored. So it is very important how the material is stored, whether it is stored in a HDP type of cartons, or in a gunny bags, or in a cellulose or paper bag. So this if it is in paper bags, it can also work as a fuel. So I'm not going that far in a root cause analysis, what could go wrong, or what were the storage conditions. Of course, the local authority must have done a lot of analysis there because of this explosion. But going through the literature, what I found that ammonium nitrate, if you see the reactions, it has tremendous reactions. So ammonium nitrate, this is the important reaction which could have happened. Reaction number 2, where ammonium nitrate decomposes into dinitrogen oxide and water vapor. So that is how it is. And if you can see the heat evolved, the first reaction is endothermic, so there is not much heat. But as the reaction moves from number 2 to number 6, there is a lot of heat evolved. So large amount of calories of heat is getting evolved, if you see. And also there is simultaneously increase in the volume of gas. So it's like moving ahead, and that is what you can see. Also the temperature, I think there's a temperature also they have given at what temperatures these reactions happen. But if you see at the different phases, so I would like to bring to your notice that ammonium nitrate would be in a different phases. So at different phases means during compaction, the structure would change. When it's filled, structures are different. So different structures of even ammonium nitrate can ignite at different temperatures. So 170 to 125 degrees, very low temperature. If it moves to a phase 2, the temperatures are 125 to 84 degrees C. Phase 3, orthorhombic, further temperature decrease. So the material may be changing its shape during its condition. So we don't know what was the phase of that material at that time, whether it was standalone, whether it was with certain fuel or the bags, what was the packaging material. So all it depends on all those factors. Now we know that ammonium nitrate deflagrates or detonates. So what it means? So when we say deflagration or detonation, there are two aspects we have to see. When the ammonium nitrate burns or it decomposes, it releases a lot of energy. As you can see, the heat is evolved, the energies are high. Now when the sound waves are traveling subsonic, that is less than the speed of sound, it's called deflagration. When it is supersonic, that it crosses the speed of sound, it's called supersonic, the detonation happens. So perhaps the speed or the decomposition or the energy release was so fast that we heard sounds, we heard videos where you can see the shattering of all the buildings around. So that is how the reaction, the chemical reaction must have happened. So that is the what I would like to say and suggest from these different reactions. As you can see, there is a lot of literature. I have also given a reference. Those who would be interested to know what are the different phases or how it could have happened, what are the decomposition reactions. So if you are having interest, you can also read through this review of thermal decomposition of ammonium nitrate. This is Journal of Energetic Materials. It's available on the Google search. If you put this reference, you will get the more information on it. So this is how it has happened. I will go more into details. So any impurities like fuel oil, furnace oil, which we commonly used in transportation, or it may get contaminated with the other materials which we are carrying out with the shipment. So it may be not deliberate, but it can happen accidentally. We are having metal, so certain metal oxides or metals can also catalyze these reactions, and then the fast rate of reaction, and this can make ammonium nitrate explosive or create a runaway kind of situation or reactions. So any impurities like metal oxides can also could trigger this kind of reaction. So what had happened that day is ammonium nitrate decomposed into nitrogen, oxygen, and then this again they combined. And typically, if you see the reaction, the 2NO plus O2, 2NO2. This is a NO2 is a reddish color cloud. If you can see in the picture here, the reddish color cloud. So NO2 would be, or what we see is that there was a release of NO2. And also, if there is a video wherein you, I don't know, I have not put over here that video wherein there is first a cloud, a white cloud comes out, which is exactly the water vapor. So water vapor came in, and then the reddish cloud, what we see here. So this is how the NO2 is. So this is how we can do a root cause analysis or how this could happen. So this is an interesting thing from this research, that this could have been the possible way of decomposition of ammonium nitrate, and which caused this very big accident. So these are the findings. I have also given the references. You can read through those later. Now, what is important? How I can mitigate this problem? Of course, these problems are there, and we have to evolve. We have to learn from these incidences and see, like in last 50 years, so many incidences have happened. This is not the first time. How we can avoid this? So the what I would see that we should always look at the regulatory documents which are provided with the shipment, and we should it should be carefully read, like people read through it, and we should read line by line what it is. Many a time it describes the product in totality, but because of lack of time and other reasons, many a time the documents are just in the file. This is on the chemistry side, because in the industry I'm talking about. I don't know about the shipping industry, but this is what happens in the industries. Like people take this document, they will file it, but they may not even try to look after it. What are hazard identification, why this product, what it is. So it tells, this MSDS tells everything about the product. Now if we read the MSDS for this product, ammonium nitrate, it is oxidizing solid, category 3 as per the OSHA. This is again, you can find this MSDS on this website. You can download it, you can read for that. I'm just putting this perspective that it is an oxidizing solid of category 3. Category 3 means whenever it is mixed with cellulose or the plastic, it can have a tendency to burn. So this is what it tells about. Then there are also pictorial references or statements given in the MSDS. We should be always careful, and we should be aware of this, what these pictures mean. It's a corrosive. The first sign tells that it is oxidizing agent. It can burn or it can decompose. Then we should always read about the preventions. So it is very important to read line by line. Keep store away from other combustible material. Take any precaution to avoid mixing with combustibles, that is fuel oil or plastics. Use only outdoors, well ventilated area. Wear protective, like the PPE, what we call it. So we have to follow all these guidelines. Storage, store in a well ventilated place, keep it cool. I don't know the temperature in Beirut at that time, what was the room temperature, and always if the container, we have observed that it is always 5 degrees more in the container temperature than the outside. So I don't know exactly what temperature was there when it was stored in the warehouse. So this is another important aspect. We have to see that storage conditions and also the disposal waste, how it needs to be disposed. Then there is certain more regulatory information which is given over here. Handling and storage. Keep the containers tightly closed in a dry, cool and well ventilated space. So this should not catch up moisture, as I told you, because it was the seashore, it may be humid, and with the time it must have picked up moisture. So, and which would have compacted the material in the silos or in the bags that was used for storage. Do not store near combustible material. So again and again it tells us that it should not be stored near any combustible materials. So this is very important aspect. Again, the stability and reactivity. This is, so SDS is a 16-point document. It is like an horoscope which tells about the chemical material. It should be very important that a person reads through it whenever he is taking charge of that material and trying to use this material somewhere. So even if you are using it for any industrial purposes, or you're storing it, or you're transporting it, SDS will give you all the information about the material. Now again, about the stability and reactivity, it is again oxidizer. So again and again it tells you the same thing in different ways, so that how you can avoid incompatible products, avoid moisture, strong oxidizing agent. It should not be brought in with strong other oxidizing agent like hydrogen peroxide or sodium hypochlorite, which is used for cleaning our bathrooms and toilets. So you should avoid these materials when they come in contact with these materials. So this is what the SDS will tell us. There are other transport information which have been given in the SDS, which we should follow. Ammonium nitrate, hazard class, packaging group. So it tells about those all. Again, the regulatory information, since this SDS is from the US, so every country will have their own regulatory information, do's and don'ts. You have to carry so much material in so much space. So all those information is there. How you, if there is a spillage, how you have to remove this material. So all those informations are given, and of course there are always regular audits done in the warehouses which capture all these things. So after this learning in India, we also found that there was 690 tons or 700 tons of similar kind of material stored in Chennai port. And this became a very strong issue like this. This was again a impounded cargo from Russia. It was brought what it was an import for some fertilizer, for making fertilizer, but then there were some issues and this was lying for a couple of years at the Chennai port. And to avoid this, this material was then this material was moved out to Hyderabad and other places, so for converting into fertilizer. So people have then taken it very seriously for these potential hazards, and they took a quick action after seeing the Beirut incident. So this is a very good thing. And similar material would be lying in other countries, other places. So we should be very careful. We should be doing an audits and capturing those kind of materials. If there are hazards, we should highlight those, put a red flag and get it under control. So regulations in India. So there have been a lot of regulations in India on the export use of ammonium nitrate. So these are under the Ammonium Nitrate Rules 2012. These are again available in a big docket, and it's a PDF which tells about how it should be stored, how it should be transported. There are licenses around it. So this is all about the ammonium nitrate use in India. And of course, similar documents would be available for different area, different countries, and we need to abide with those laws and regulations of transporting, storing, and using the material. So what are the conclusion and learning experience for all of us? So to understand the nature of chemistry, chemical during transport, storage, and its use, we have to strengthen our documentation, that to see the SDS, not only the SDS, we need to look at the certificate of analysis, the quality certificates, collect the product shelf life. So many a time a product may be used for for medicines, it is for 2 years or 3 years. Similarly, the chemicals are also having a product shelf life. After that, they may decompose, degrade into different other actives and products. So we should be very careful while doing so. So it's very important we collect all those kind of information like product certificates, its shelf life, and use appropriately for our requirements. Follow the regulatory requirements of global and local authorities. So as we are having in India, similar information for regulatory information for ammonium nitrate 2012, I just showed you that in the earlier slide. In a similar way, we have to follow other regions' regulatory requirements and abide to it. We should do audits with competent authority, of course, so that such kind of slippages are found out and taken care, and there is a risk mitigation done. And we should always, so this is a very good platform where we discuss this kind of incidents, generate curiosity, have a discussion, and then of course we will also discuss in our groups and understand how we can work around it, or how we should take care so such incidences can be avoided. So it's a very good forum that we have discussed these incidents and create an awareness among our group of people. So similar discussion should happen. So thank you very much for listening to me. If there are questions, I can take it now, or if, even after Captain Zarir, after he discusses, we can take the questions together.
Thank you, Professor Virendra. Very good enlightenment on the subject of what has been in the news for quite some time, and quite interesting. We've been having series of incidents every 20-30 years, starting from 1921 to 1947, 2 big incidents. Then luckily the rest of the incidents from 2001 till 2020 have been minor, but again, lessons learned have not had made rules come up, but then the rules are not really entered to the people. Like I was quite surprised that 2012 India seems to have a rule of not to have these in a highly populated area, a large quantity. So that comes to the question, there's a slip in the system. Very informative. And let's take it forward to Captain Zarir now. And let's take it how the shipping aspect and his knowledge from his survey will give us a lot of insight on the subject. And Captain Zarir, I think you can do the presentation yourself. I think you have the rights. See if you can. Otherwise, I will do it for you.
Yeah. We'll have our IT put it up, but I'd like to, before I start, thank the company Master Mariners India. We're very proud to be your first member overseas for this chapter, and also I will be acknowledging some seniors here. Our guest of honor, Captain Peter Machado, who I have very high regard, Captain Sorab, Bhathena, Captain L.K. Panda, who's just signed up, Vijay, yourself, Captain Sri, who've been colleagues. Thank you very much, and a lot others who have been here. Thank you very much. I think I'm in company of extremely senior master mariners, and my humble experience with claims that I have been involved in. I have got a table full of my documents here, which I'm going to refer to just in case I don't go off tangent. Like every good consultant does, I've also done exactly that. I've read it up and I'm going to rattle it out. I must be very honest and say, other than a few explosion claims relating to chemicals, especially chlorides, within the UAE ports, I can probably count them on my two hands, that many have been involved in. But I've done some extensive reading, and I'd be happy to share from mariner's perspective what I have gathered, and if it does make a difference to those listening amongst us who are master mariners and can go back into their vessels and give some kind of guidance, take that little bit of a serious view on how to carry and what safeguards to make. Those people who are listening to us are in charge of ports, port facilities, warehouses. If they can kind of take this a little bit more seriously, I'm sure they do at the moment, but the reasons behind it, those underwriters who do risk assessment for writing warehouse risks for DG Cargo, if they take some notes out of what I'm going to present, I think the time I've spent and the opportunity that the chapter of Master Mariners India have put aside for this time would be really, really counted. I must say I'm honored. Thank you very much. And let me get cracking with it. And I'll request Sally to put up the slide, please. I've got a few slides, and we'll play those whatever is available. To start with, I've just put down some characteristics of the cargo, and as our earlier learned speaker, who is a PhD holder, has discussed, this is not the first time that this incident has happened. In 1947, 16th of April, in no other than the United States, in Texas City, there was a disaster where the maximum number, second most number of casualties have occurred. It was similar to what we have experienced, and I've read a few things, and this is what it looked like in those days. And it was a landmark case, and we can see a lot of traits that have happened. While we were celebrating independence, there was something going on in the United States which nobody knew that it would happen again and again and again and again. And there is a common thread with regards to claims that is tied up with all these cases. When I was going through precedent, it is all to do with storage, it's all to do with negligence, and it's all to do with, so to say, oversight, a momentary lapse of competence, of care, of caution to the cargo, and the seriousness one takes. A lot of times it goes away with it being under the radar because it's tagged as fertilizer, and that being one of the reasons why it goes a bit low profile. I have looked up the UN number. It comes under the category 5.2, and it has a UN number of 1942, 1942, and it is clearly a cargo that is to be taken seriously. And if it is in liquid, it is having a UN number of 2426. Of course, the mass has to be more than 0.2%. I'll just look up the slides. Srikanth, if I'm not able to put up the slides, I'll request you, but let me just, right. Thank you very much, Sri. So, rolling on. So the most common way of carrying this on bulk, it looks like sugar crystals, really, if you ask me, and it is in a stable form because it's coated, and it is supposed to be used most commonly as fertilizer, but can also be used as fuel oil or ammonium nitrate. That is a very popular explosive content, so to say, which goes into as very well acronymed in the world that makes explosives, called ANFO. So that's where ammonium nitrate fuel oil it's attributed to. But it's very commonly used. I use it all the time in my little hobby that I have, gardening, and it's very, very popularly available very easily in Dubai. In most plant shops, it's called NPK, and it has a designation of 34% nitrogen, and it's great for grass. Not in this weather. Whoever's interested in gardening, 2 months later, it's a fantastic thing to put into your soil. It'll give a lot of flowers and fruits. But that's not the subject. We're talking about carriage. So moving on. That's what I just talked about. That's all that we can talk about its usefulness. And believe it or not, it's an oxidizer in solid rocket propellants as well as it is for simple fertilizers. So you can see the range in which this chemical is used in. And it's all to do with the oxidizing characteristics, which Virendra very well put out, being a learned chemical professor, a PhD holder in his subject. I must say that this is what makes it very dubious, because it is most likely considered as a low profile and a less risky substance, and going by the recent stories about Beirut that we've heard, unfortunately, it was everything to do with the secondary explosion which took it down, apparently. And with the cargo being there for so long, it apparently clearly had its deterioration. Those jumbo bags are not meant and designed to keep the cargo of anything within them intact for all that many years that it had been. So clearly there would be leakages, spillages, cracks and burns and bursts, and which clearly gave out a lot of vapors, and that took it down. And that said, let's talk about the storage risks. Storage risks, again, a very, very undermined aspect where underwriters are concerned, because a risk quotient has been ascertained by people who are non-technical within underwriters' fancy air conditioning offices somewhere in the Lloyd's building in England, or it is in local offices here, and they don't necessarily understand the entire risk that they write. So how do we ship these generally? They're generally in small quantities. They're shipped in dry containers, not in reefers, operational, not operational, and they are liable to evolve corrosive vapors. That means they give out vapors. They're supposed to be kept dry, away from any kind of moisture, because that aggravates their thing. So going on, it's an oxidizing agent. That is what is to be. It is to be seen. It is much like bare metal. Every precaution one takes of unpainted bare metal, it sucks up the oxygen. It's supposed to be kept away from moisture. This is what one has to take care of. Soluble in water or alcohol, like they say, everything dissolves in alcohol. If you put it in the right quantity, so does your liver, if you don't take care of it. But yeah, so with more than 0.2% by mass of the combustible substance, any organic substance calculated under 2.2426, that is ammonium nitrate liquid, that is hot concentrated solution. That's what I got from this thing. It is to be stored on deck generally if it is in a certain packaging as per the CTU, as per the IMDG code. That is what is recommended. Now, if it is wrapped in plastic and in jumbo bags, and the packaging is different, and you take different you take dispensation to carry them in holds from the required classification society or the flag state. It can be carried in holds. We know it was carried in holds when it had arrived Beirut, the cargo that blew up. So, as per the advice in the books, it is supposed to be carried and stored on deck. Moving on, Srikanth. Yes, I mentioned it is an oxidizing substance, and any oxidizing agent is divided into class 5.1 and organic peroxides into 5.2. This is as per the Abu Dhabi Port Dangerous Goods Guidelines issue 2. Now, we have to understand, we are now moving a little local, because I think that's where it comes down to. We're talking about what local regulations, storage and transportation will be affected. So now Virendra spoke about it from an Indian perspective. I'm talking about from a UAE perspective. So Abu Dhabi ports are talking about basic safety requirements which are applicable in handling the substances listed in section 3. And section 3 has a list of items which are to be looked at. This information is very easily available. Abu Dhabi Dangerous Goods Guideline issue 2. You can look it up on the internet. If you roll on, Srikanth, that's what specifically is mentioned in the guidelines, that again, what we talked about, that it demonstrates explosive properties. Any spillages is to be returned back into the original packages. So you will have containers, anything showing any leakages, any spillage, any tear, it will be treated extremely, extremely carefully. Moving on, Srikanth. There is also a ministerial decree which mentions, which is 214, mentioned in 2004, where it clearly says that fertilizers which have a certain amount of ammonium nitrate have to be taken prior permissions from the Ministry of Interior for importing, manufacturing or circulation of ammonium nitrate. In other words, if it is moved over a certain package, you need to take permission from the Interior Ministry. Over here it's called Civil Defense in Dubai. Yeah, so it is important to talk about it, and this is what is emphasized in this, and it has a nitrogen percentage which is mentioned there, 33.5 soluble nitrogen, that is. So there is enough information out there, and there is a ministerial decree which has been amended also subsequently. Srikanth, if you roll. In other words, you got to be pre-informing people before you move, and I can tell you the quantity is more than 500 kgs. That's what it says. More than 500 kgs ammonium nitrate. You need to 500 kgs. You need to pre-inform people. Yeah, and every package has to be branded. It has to have all this information on a pamphlet which is indicative of all this information, percentage of the component, net weight of package, etc. has to be while transporting, and within it is within the UAE. This is applicable as soon as it comes into the UAE. Now, there's also a mention of quantities and gels greater than 3,000 kgs or 300 liters in a CTU. That also needs to be pre-declared to clients. Yeah, there you go. That's what I was talking about. Ammonium nitrate comes under class 5.1, and anything more than 500 kgs needs to be only arriving port 12 hours before it's loaded, or has to be removed out of port within 12 hours of being landed, if the quantity is more than 500 kgs. In other words, they do not want the risk of this quantity of cargo being inside the port. This is UAE regulations as per Abu Dhabi dangerous goods guidelines. If you move on, there's also a requirement of risk assessment, and dangerous goods security advisor needs to be informed for each terminal of berth whenever movement of such cargo is being effected within the port. So anybody who is moving on this cargo, it has to be very, very strictly complied with. So these are all the things that the dangerous goods security advisors will perform, all the functions that they will do. They will, you know, kind of make sure that there are no lapses in the procedures which are followed for the risk assessment, which is mentioned there. There's also a training requirement for those who are handling. So they have to be the drivers, including the trolley. No regular people can just, you know, without any training can handle these dangerous goods. There's also a mention about high consequence dangerous goods, and ammonium nitrate is featured in it. 5.1, again, this is of a certain concentration. Fertilizer, it coming as fertilizers, it coming as emulsions, it's in quantities greater than 3,000 kgs, is to be handled within the guidelines of the high consequence dangerous goods mentioned there, and there are certain directives which you have to follow. That's all I have for my 20 minutes I kept. I just wanted to literally touch upon all the places where you can find this information locally. I put them all out there within ports, in warehouses. One aspect which I wanted to tell you about, which I was not able to put, is that as per the European Fertilizers Directive, there is a separate ship-to-shore checklist for fertilizers. So there is a special guideline given, and UAE follows that, and masters who carry cargo from UAE, from European origins, definitely will have that checklist, ship-shore checklist, in addition to the regular checklist that is being presented for ship-shore safety. Other than this, I'm open to questions. I hope my short brief was worth its while. Thank you very much for a patient listening.
Thank you, Capt Zarir. Very well covered up on the carriage of the goods, and in particular UAE ports and handling. Thank you for the insight on that part. I will leave the floor open for some questions. And before that, I do see there are two questions come up already in the question and answer session. One is by Captain Sorab. He has been loading, a lot of us have been loading bulk urea on our ship. In what way does this differ from ammonium nitrate? And the urea, which I understand is also a nitrate, fertilizer grade. So Dr. Virendra, can you please help us on that?
Just reading which also a nitrate. Structurally, ammonium nitrate and urea are totally different. So urea is less dangerous, I would call, in comparison to ammonium nitrate. So if I understand the question correctly, so ammonium urea is not a nitrate, so it's structurally different, and it's much safer than ammonium nitrate.
Okay.
So,
there is another person who was added in saying that he carried with urea, but it got 41% of ammonium content. So what I understand is ammonium is not a explosive, but nitrate is. Am I right?
Yeah, ammonium nitrate as a compound is a complete molecule which is explosive or which is dangerous. Rather, people are using urea to make it less dangerous or dilute the explosivity or the dangerousness of ammonium nitrate. So if you dilute it with urea, it will become less dangerous. But however, anything ammonium nitrate above 35% in India is termed as dangerous. So anything, if I have a mixture of 65 grams of water and 35 grams of ammonium nitrate, it's still called dangerous. So anything above 35 or around 35 is dangerous. So I may use urea as a diluent. I may have 80% of urea and 20% of ammonium nitrate, then I'm safe. I would call myself a safe to carry this material. So this is how it is.
Adding on the same question of the person by Jeffrey Blum, he's put in, as I said, I used to sell urea and chartered vessel to carry 41% ammonium content, that is toxic fumes, which are dangerous for surveyors and chartering, visiting the laden vessel and disposed like me, but not explosive. Is he correct on the statement?
See, there are different ways the industries, chemical industries, they work to carry certain goods. They would incorporate certain materials to make it less dangerous, or see, depending on the guideline what Zarir just explained, to make it less dangerous, people, depending on the guidelines, they may change the formulation of the ammonium nitrate by adding certain materials which are, they may use soil or something which is not dangerous, like urea, for example. They may use urea as a diluent to dilute the content of ammonium nitrate in the cargo. So they may have a mixture of 30% of ammonium nitrate, 70% of urea. Now it becomes non-dangerous for India. So I can get the cargo in, calling it a different material altogether. So this is the way, like people, there's a way out, I would say, but it's not good. But this is how it is happening, or this is how it is working.
Okay, thank you. Then Jeffrey had asked, how can I carry urea to be stored on deck in bulk? Captain Zarir?
Yeah, Jeffrey, if you have cargo of urea in bulk in containers, you're supposed to not carry them under deck. Like most other cargoes, you're not supposed to carry them under deck if it is containerized. If it's in bulk, you're supposed to carry them in jumbo bags on hatch covers. They are not, I know what you're thinking of. Bulk, the first thing comes is cargo dumped into a cargo hold and it's bulk. But there are different packages that are to be adhered to when bulk cargo is to be carried on deck under strict requirements. And it is always ammonia, as far as I understand, and we've carried even urea for that matter, it's always in a lining. It's always to be kept on deck. Like I said, there have been dispensations in cargo holds, but this is purely a recommendation that I've read out of the document which I have looked up, and the guidelines are that they are supposed to be carried on deck. There are ways to carry bulk on deck, and those ways have to be found out and carried. That's all I can say.
Am I allowed to come back on that, please?
Of course.
Go ahead.
Nice to see you.
I have been involved for quite a number of years with the shipment of 10 and 15,000 tons per shipment, per ship, of bagged urea, not in the jumbo bags, the big bags, the 1-ton bags, of which of course I'm also aware. These were always in 50-kilo bags, not palletized, not even in slings, simply placed into the hold strangely, with grabs. Sometimes they were in slings, nets, and put on the end of a hook of a crane, usually ship's gear, going from places like Constanza to Vietnam and a lot also to China to be used as fertilizer in the paddy fields for rice. And I can assure you that you cannot put, as I'm sure you know, Zarir, you cannot put 15,000 tons of bagged urea on deck. Now, I'm aware that what you mean, of course, is 1 or 2 containers worth. But how do the UAE port regulations apply to such a cargo in a bulk carrier, even if it's a small one?
Yeah. What I would do if I'm getting cargo from anywhere to anywhere within cargo holds, I would pre-declare the condition of carriage. I will pre-declare that there is flag state dispensation allowing the vessel to carry on the cargo inside the cargo holds. We'll simply do a risk assessment of it. The restriction of whether allowed to carry or not, it all depends on the concentration, the MSDS, the shipper's declaration, all these things, because all cargo is not the same. We can talk about a certain incident. For that matter, the cargo that blew up in Beirut, unfortunately, actually came inside cargo holds. And nothing happened to it while it was there. In fact, while it was discharged and kept in warehouse for falsing. And to be honest with you, and purely on insurance perspective, proximate claim, proximate cause being talked about, it is really speaking, the cause of the explosion is really the cargo being lit up. It was a secondary explosion. The first explosion was actually what they say, as far as what prima facie is available, was what triggered the second explosion. That's what everybody is talking about. So as far as insurance claim goes, simply said, somebody has lit this cargo up. That's what it matters. The proximate cause of it is that it was lit up. This is the real truth of it. Now, had these extreme measures not been in place, the cargo would have probably remained there for another few years like it was for all these years, and nothing would have happened. So really speaking, condition of warehouse, its ventilation, where the openings were, all these things are to be looked at as a cause consideration. And there will be definitely not just one lapse. There will be a number of these. There would be probably a door open somewhere where there could be a firecracker that might have gone in with and lit up the whole place. Bags would be leaking. There would be cargo spillage, which may have caused a pocket of explosive gas there. So all these things come into question. And when I wear my surveyor's hat on, that's the kind of things I'd be looking for to report in this thing. But the open deck perspective is only said from a viewpoint of being careful. We're talking about risk mitigation here. So mitigating risk, if you've been used to carrying cargo wrongly, we all know when we have a cargo to carry and we're not allowed, we don't have the DG, the special dispensation of that cargo type to be carried on bulk carriers, we all scramble to the flag state to get that one voyage dispensation so that we can carry on with the cargo. Nothing changes physically on the vessel, but we get a certain permission for that one voyage, and that probably might not be the right thing to do with regards to risk mitigation. I hope I've answered your question, Jeffrey. You always ask me intelligent ones.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, it's partly an answer, but in fact, if there's regular traffic of fertilizers, and I was involved with it for quite a number of years, and we must have had at least 30 shipments per year, and they weren't all on particular flagged vessels. And I'm just curious whether some countries, perhaps, I'm thinking particularly of the usual destination of Vietnam and China, whether some countries perhaps are slightly more, shall we say, relaxed than other countries.
I'm sure there are. Like every professional has various standards at different times of the day, and it's that time of the day within half an hour it's going to be sundowners in Dubai, so you know what I mean.
I know. Okay, thank you so much, Zarir. A pleasure to talk to you as ever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a question to Zarir. Possibly these ships which he's telling is carrying could be having a firefighting system in the vessel, maybe for fixed firefighting in the cargo holds, so they're allowing them to carry, for which they're getting a dispensation. Possibility.
Yeah, Srikanth, to answer your question, there are clear directives which my IT will put up on the screen. There are clear directives. There is information always to be given to the master and to the ship's crew. It's supposed to be pasted there when you carry cargo within the holds. No lights, no open flames. I have a poster somewhere where we will put it up on the screen. Obviously, in spite of precautions taken, it is the shipper's duty to put all this in the master's hands, declare to him all the risks and all the emergency precautions that need to be taken when something goes wrong, including crew welfare. So my IT will put it up on the screen shortly. We'll see the directives. I've got it. Actually, I was wanting to include it in the slides, but there's only so much I can do in 20 minutes.
All right. There's a question from Captain L.K. Panda. He had put in, oops, just removed my question. Okay. He had put in to Captain Zarir. Is it exothermic when wet? Can it lead to exothermic action if not kept well ventilated at the storage place in bulk?
Yes. Yes. Look, at the end of the day, you have got ventilation directives, and yes, it will continue to emit. That's why we have to have it in wraps so that there's no leakages, no tears. But Virendra can add a little bit more on its emitting properties. If I may please invoke his chemical brain in this answer. Virendra, help me here.
Yeah, like it is always important that this such kind of decomposition cannot happen on its own. So it requires certain trigger or a fire, source of fire, or a microwave, or certain kind of trigger to start the reaction. So once the reaction starts, it becomes a self-sustaining. So it starts decomposing on its own, what I call a runaway kind of reaction. So it requires certain source. So once a certain source or a certain part of it gets heated up, it will trigger the reaction, and then it is out of our hands. So even if you want to control it, you cannot control it. It is so fast. So even a microwave, or I'm just giving you remotely also one can do it, trigger it, or you require a fire, source of fire, or some spark, which would trigger it, and then it becomes a decomposition so fast that it may detonate, or the energy release speeds is very high that it will detonate, or it deflagrates if the energy speeds are less, but still both are dangerous. So you require a trigger or decompose or those kind of things.
Thank you very much, Doctor. To add on to that,
that's the one I was talking about. There are special instructions to the crew for avoidance of heat source, etc. So this kind of a poster is quite normally given for the ship's master's attention. If you see the first line there.
Yeah, we can see that. No naked light. Thank you, Captain Zarir. Adding to it, there was another question which you had answered before. Captain L.K. Pandey had asked, is it correct that a cargo is not allowed to be kept more than a day inside the port of Dubai? I think the answer is yes. You have told it's only if it is more than 500 kgs, you can keep maximum to 12 hours. Am I correct, Zarir?
That's correct. Anything more than 500 kgs has to come into port 12 hours before loading, and it has to be offloaded and gone away within 12 hours of discharge.
All right, thank you. Is there any other questions from the participants to put up?
I have a lively question, both of them. If at all, it is very easy and simple. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, Vijay.
Yeah, this is, I think, when briefing both of you had told us that after this incident, all of the people have taken a corrective action, that how it can be stored, all the stuff. What is the preventive action for this? Because this is going to be in the mode of a fertilizer going to the common man, to the deep interior countryside of the villages. How the farmers and the people who have got don't have much knowledge about to handle it. What kind of a preventive action going to take place with them? How it's going to reach them?
Virendra, I think farmers are closer to your heart than mine.
True. So yeah, this is a very valid question. Like how people in the farming or people who are less aware of this, because there will be MSDS with the large quantities, but when it goes in a gunny bags on kilos, there will not be any MSDS to guide the people. So it's important, like people are are told about the material, or whenever a farmer is taking these materials, the shop owner should guide him on the use, or he should make him aware, or there should be certain labels on the bottles or on the package which tells about this properties that decomposes in the local language as well. So not only in English but in local language, so that the user is aware about the material he's using, the cautions. Like in many kind there are no caution labels on such materials when they are in smaller quantities, but those are actually from regulatory point of view. Such labels and are very important, or the caution symbols, pictograms, like which would tell the user that it has to be not contaminated, or it has to be kept away from the source of fire, or from source of electricity where there are sparks, so that this kind of incidences can be avoided. So it's more about learning, dissipating the knowledge, and educating the people about the dangers of chemicals, and this is important. So it has to be told to everybody, putting labels and educating the people around.
Yeah, thinking in local language, explanation in local language is much better. What you said is right. It should go as a local source of language, independent person, at independent area wherever it is being shipped. That's much better. That's right. I agree with that.
Yeah, Jeffrey, can I answer that about light bulbs there?
You should, Captain Zarir.
Yeah, Jeffrey, light bulbs don't necessarily need to be inside the cargo holds. They could be on crane tops, gantries.
No
There are a lot of ways to light up without having a light bulb inside in close proximity. So if you wear a boiler suit like I do every second day or every day these days, you'd probably understand that there are a lot of ways to see in the night and continue. And about your keeping sufficiently cool, look, ambient heat versus an ignition source, there's a difference there. Virendra might want to specify there that does a 45, 48, 50 degree ambient storage temperature versus a small little cigarette butt, what is the difference? What kind of hazards would be, well, to my knowledge, a hot ambient temperature wouldn't matter, but what is your view on it, Virendra?
Yeah, ambient temperature for in this case, like if it is around 27, 30 degrees C, which is rare in climates like Dubai, where the temperatures are very high, and in the cargo, I would imagine the temperature would go around 4 or 5 degrees more when they are stored in a congested or in a space. So it can accumulate vapors, not for ammonium nitrate. It can for other cargoes. We have seen that there are. We talk about this vapor pressure, so that there are possibility of vapors going on, and then they getting it blocked, and if it is not removed, or there is no sufficient vapors, there is no leakages, or if it is confined space, then this can trigger a similar kind of incidents. So it's very important, like how it is stored, the temperatures, because which are natural things we cannot control. Some of the things we cannot control, like sunlight, away from sunlight. Many a time the chemicals are written like away from sunlight, but it's not possible to keep the cargo or the materials away from sunlight. So people would store outside, and then when there are problems, such issues or incidences, we then, okay, now we don't have to store in, but we cannot then prevent such kind of incidences if we lack discipline. Follow the discipline what has been given in an MSDS or the regulatory authorities, because they cannot come daily and check us. We have to be self-disciplined, so that we store our cargoes away from sunlight in lower temperatures, preferably, and protect the material. So it is just not transporting, but to transport in a very safe manner. That is very important. Or storing the material in a safe manner, so that we as a part of a community, we are not making some dangerous environment around us, or we are not creating a problem for others. So this needs to be these features or this kind of information we need to have. We need to talk about it, and sensitize the people around us. So it's very important. Like temperatures, we cannot control them, but at the same time, we should try sufficient way that we are working on the guidelines or the information which has been given to us from the MSDS. We follow those information and regulatory rules of that country or the location. So that is very important.
Thank you, Dr. Virendra and Captain Zarir. I think our time's up now. So I conclude the question and answer session now and hand over the mic back to Captain Sorab, the President, so he can give his words. Captain Sorab, over to you. You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Srikanth. Yeah, today has been a really eye-opener for many of us. And special thanks must go out to Professor Virendra Madyar for his learned, a lot of insight from what he has said, and of course to couple that with Zarir's experience. It's been a really enlightening series, and I hope to have some more future topics that we can pick up and discuss. Certainly ones which are grabbing the public eyes at the moment, like this one. And thank you very much, everybody. And Captain Giri would like to say something.
Good evening once again to all of you. It was quite a good number today, participants altogether 51 when I counted the last number, and quite interesting topic. Quite a good questions, and then kind of get quite a good reply. And we are very glad that we are conducting on behalf of the CMMI such a kind of webinars, which is very useful for the marine fraternity. I appreciate all the participants, and also for Captain Zarir Irani and Captain Virendra, who are in fact really digging to the grave. Particularly Zarir, whenever you ask something, he literally goes to the grave and we shake up the person. Like 1947 means I got exploded, Texas. I don't know where you get the news. I also didn't know about it. 1947 in Texas explosion. Well, it is a quite interesting one. Thanks, Zarir, for you. Thank you, Captain Virendra. Nice to all of you. And I wish you have a good day. And we'll keep seeing like this every now and then. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just before finishing, I just thought I'd put just a question to everyone. Is that, do you think like this could happen on a ship, or yes or no? We'll give you a thought process after this presentation. So let's see what the final outcome is. I'll close the poll in next 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm closing it. Only 16 people are given, but everyone says yes possibility. Good. Keeping yes as a possibility, we do more risk analysis to avoid it in the future. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a
Great
lot.
day. Yes, bye-bye.
Thank you. Good information. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.